Welcome to Demasked. My name is Fresman, and today I'm joined by ShankMods. Shank, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. Not to gush here, but I've been a bit of a fan of yours for a little bit, especially like we discussed it just prior to recording. But that Hot Wheels PC, I've been trying to hunt one down for myself for the longest time.
Yeah, they're tricky to find, especially with you know, that some YouTube channels put a high profile on it, including me for that. Uh, and there are some people that try to buy them and flip them. But if you keep an eye on eBay, they pop up from time to time. I've seen them pop up for like as low as $20.
There was this. So I recently got to visit a family member who has. I can't figure out how he did it, and I want to say the company is called like Preston or something. It's this weird like PC pre-built company I've never heard of, and he bought three PCs, and his explanation was that's the main one. This one's the backup to that one, and then that one's the backup to the backup.
Yeah, I respect that. If you have one, you have none.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the money for it, I mean, go for it. But so that the process of turning the Hot Wheels PC into the monster that it became, the beautiful monster it became. I want to know, how did you get that three monitor setup going?
So, the the three monitors was pretty simple. What I did was I was running them all into just HDMI or DisplayPort to VGA converters. So I was just running a output, and there was two different models of the monitor. There was the bigger one, and that one maxed out at 1024p, and the two smaller ones maxed out at 768p. So I set them all to 768p, which was 1024 by 768, and then I connected them all, and then it was running through an RTX 3060, and I used NVIDIA Surround. So NVIDIA Surround is a built into the NVIDIA drivers.
Mm.
It lets you turn three. It lets you turn multiple displays into one continuous display. So that's how I turned it all into one continuous display. So it was 3 by 4. It was 4 by 3 aspect ratio with three of them wide, so it had an effective aspect ratio of 4.
I also just follow up because it was a question that was on my mind watching that video. How hard was it getting those Hot Wheels monitors?
Oh, the Hot Wheels monitors was. I got really lucky for them. So I got really, really lucky. So the first one I had mentioned when I went to the computer reset thing, I touched on this in the video, but in the computer reset thing, I saw the Hot Wheels PC there, and I was looking for the monitors. I told everyone there I was looking for the Hot Wheels monitor because I really wanted one. And I asked around and couldn't get any info on it. Presumably it wasn't there. But in the local retro computing community, people started telling everyone that I was looking for one. I was just an individual. This was before the GameCube Joy-Cons had come out. Like I had maybe 20,000 subscribers at the most. So it wasn't, oh, this guy with a YouTube channel. It was just this guy who's a friend of a friend is looking for this. And my friend David started asking around, and I think he had one, and he knew someone else who had one. And they both hooked me up with monitors, and they sold them to me for really good prices. And then one of my friends was at a thrift store, and he saw it was a Hot Wheels PC with a monitor and a few accessories. I think it was just like the steering wheel that was broken and like not much else. And it was like $80. and I was on the fence, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I was like, at the time, I was in college, so I didn't have much to spend. So I was like, okay, do it, pull the trigger. This was like before I was planning on making the video for it, and that's when I had 3 of those monitors. So eventually, I was like, okay, as I kept acquiring more pieces of it, I'm like, okay, maybe I do need to make a video on this. Maybe I do need to. Yeah. So it just ballooned.
Now, outside of the Hot Wheels PC, I've been meaning to ask this of a quote unquote tech channel. What was your first PC?
Oh, my first PC? Okay, it was probably back in the early 2000s. It was some HP pre-built. It wasn't uh, it was how do I describe it? It was, it was one I got running Windows 98 and then eventually XP. And then I got my dad's hand-me-down iMac, like one of those polycarbonate iMacs,
Yeah.
the white ones. And then once I had saved up from 7th grade until 11th grade, and I bought a Retina MacBook Pro in 2012, and that's been my laptop since. So yeah. I still have use that Retina 2012 MacBook.
Is that what you're recording on right now?
No. I have a desktop PC that's like running like a 1st gen Ryzen right now, but my MacBook, I mean, I still use the MacBook. That's my main laptop when I'm not at my desktop.
I get you. I made the mistake of purchasing a Chromebook recently.
Ouch.
But like one of those $75 ones.
Yeah.
That's very clearly running like a phone OS on it.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting a full new laptop for $75, corners got to be cut somewhere.
Yeah. And not to worry, that's not what I'm recording on right now. Dude, mine was you remember when Sony made desktops?
Yes, the Vios.
Yeah. So like lately, I want to say Vio's still around, but it's just laptops.
Okay.
But it was one of those like giant, like it looked like a monolith. And I've long since pulled the parts out of it because the parts were just not doing anything anymore. But I still have the shell. I have it in storage.
Neat.
I plan to resurrect it someday, but I just don't know when.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool as long as stuff is ATX standard, it's pretty easy to put new hardware in old cases.
Well, I've had this idea, and I can't tell how much of a headache it's going to be, but I'm stubborn enough that I feel like I'm still going to try. I want to put an Xbox motherboard, like an Xbox 360 motherboard, into a computer tower.
Okay. I would advise going with the Slim.
There's some trouble with that because I already have a motherboard like prepped, but it's not the Slim.
Okay, I would strongly advise going with the Slim because the standard motherboards tend to commit self-die a lot.
Yeah. I don't plan for it to last, but I have a theory regarding the disk drive of the Xbox 360, and I know it's like a simple thing to test, but I just haven't sat down and proven my thesis.
Okay.
Because I'm wondering if so the connection to the disk drive is the SATA connection, but I
Yeah.
don't. But I feel like if I take like a standard disk reader for like a PC tower, that it might work. Although
No.
I don't know if it's gonna have
No.
trouble recognizing it.
No, it's not. They're paired. It's paired and stuff like that. It's not going to work.
Oh, it's proprietary.
Yeah, it's proprietary. It's paired. It uses the same bus, but it's like to even get it to run like you have to like crack the firmware on them to get them to run. Yeah, you're not going to be able to run a standard disk drive like that.
Damn. Dreams getting crushed today on Demasked.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry,
That's
but
okay.
yeah, that will not work.
I guess we'll have to try to find all the pieces and put it back together again. I guess.
Yeah, integrated. Well, 360s are pretty cheap, so the Xbox 360s right now are not very expensive. So
I
you
I
should.
have I have four of them. I
Are they all the fat ones, the white ones?
yeah.
Oh man,
I keep finding them at Goodwills.
yeah, those are one of the few consoles back when I was acquiring as many consoles as I could. The white Xbox 360s were one of the few consoles where I would be like, where I would just be like, nope, you can't even pay me to take this. I love the Xbox 360, but white, those early white Xbox 360s, they're all gonna, the at the time the Red Ring of Death, it was like a 54% failure rate. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. According to my younger sister, the movie Marmaduke. You remember Marmaduke?
I do not. I've not seen it.
So it's just like a kids movie about a big old dog, like a greyhound or something like that. But apparently that movie on DVD killed my first Xbox 360.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Because I like got home from school and I just hear like I don't know what happened. I was trying to watch Marmaduke and everything went black.
It probably wasn't the DVD itself, but it was likely it died while trying to do that.
Then then what am I suing the movie for? I 2010, man. Sorry, I found a oh, it's a Great Dane. I found the listing for it.
Listing for what?
The that movie Marmaduke,
Ah, okay.
2010. God, I feel old.
So you said you do repairs and stuff. What kind of repairs do you do?
Yeah. Mainly in my spare time, I repair either controllers and sometimes consoles. I do stress to the people, like whoever asks me, that this is more than likely going to be voiding your warranty.
Oh yeah.
so,
Oh yeah.
so I just ask, like, do you have a warranty at any, like, Best Buy, Target, anything? No, I don't. All right, cool. Then I'll take it apart. I just, dude, I've had, what's the word I'm looking for? The most consistent question I get asked, at least for controllers to get repaired, has to be Nintendo Switch controllers.
Yeah, the drift.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the joysticks aren't the best design. What's funny though is in the portabilizing scene, we have not had any issues with stick drift on like the portables we've been building. And
Mm.
I don't know if that's I see two possible reasons for this. One of them is that one of them is the more complicated thing, and that's that we're using 3.3 volt as a reference instead of 1.8 volt. And I don't remember the details of the physics behind this, but something about saturating it. There was some mouse that was really popular, and the switches would last basically forever on it. But when they ran it with 1.8 volt logic instead of 3.3 volt logic, the switches would burn out faster.
Huh.
So I don't recall the physics, but it might be because we're running it at 3.3 volts instead of 1.8 volts. And the other thing I could guess why it could be is that the games we're playing, because GameCube and Wii games don't use the click the stick, right? You're never clicking the stick. And you applying force to click the stick while pressing it and pressing a direction and stuff like that, that's what really wears it down. So it's one of those two things is what I would guess that plays into it.
And that you said that's for the Switch joysticks?
Yes.
It was like, personally, like for my Switch, if I can locate it. Okay, yeah, it's over by the TV. I like for my controllers, I try to be as gentle as possible. But it seems most of the people that I get asking me to like clean or fix their controllers, just like they're moving the joystick so hard I can hear it click against the side of the housing.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's fine if you got to be relatively quick, but when it's every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll wear it. I think it's less about like flicking it to the side and more applying pressure downward on it, like when you're squishing it, when you're pressing the button underneath the stick.
Okay. I wonder if there's any sort of like fitting or I was going to say bearing, but that's not correct. Like a rubber washer you could apply that could help mitigate some of that.
I don't know. And I'm not sure which of those two things. That's my guess for what causes it, but I don't know for sure. But when throwing them in Wii portables and stuff, none of us have ever, as far as I know, none of us have had drift in any of our portables. And it is a problem with the joystick itself. It's not the Switch. It's a design flaw with the joystick. But what causes it is most likely the graphite of the potentiometer sliding away. But the question is what causes it to grind away.
Gotcha. Or do you think they were designed to fail on purpose?
I think the failure rate they're having is too high to be on purpose.
I don't know. Because I feel like it's sort of in that vein of like, well, kids are going to use this, and then they're going to fail, and then they're going to ask their parents for a new one.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this was more of a unintentional than an intentional.
Just an oversight.
Yeah, I think it's just an oversight.
Okay. Now, you mentioned building portables, and there are some featured on your channels. Is there a specific portable console that, like, you would say you specialize in specifically?
Oh, definitely the Wii.
So what drew you towards it? Is it, like, just easier to move the hardware and the software, or is it your preferred console?
Well, my favorite library of games on any console is the GameCube. Okay. And the Wii is, from a hardware standpoint, just an overclocked GameCube that draws like half the power and has a built-in USB capabilities.
Okay.
So, from a portabilizing standpoint, it's just a better GameCube. Not in all regards, but in most regards. And the power draw is so low, it's only like 5 watts, 5 to 6 watts. You can do some other tricks to drop the power even further. But so you get the full library of Wii games and GameCube games, as well as virtual console and emulators on it. So you have this inexpensive console where there's tons of them, and it's this, the Wii's are inexpensive and abundant, and there's so many to use, and it has this huge library of awesome games, and we put a lot of work into documenting how to make Wii portables. So it's kind of the go-to for people building portables right now.
So, say for example, somebody like me who is familiar with repairing hardware and a little bit of repairing software, but is a novice in creating a portable for themselves. Where would I start?
Definitely, I would recommend starting on the BitBuilt forums. There's some guides there that I have. Some I've contributed to, some I've written, some that other smarter, more talented members of the community have made. There's software downloads there, not like games, but like this, the software you need to patch the system to run without certain hardware. There's guides, there's tons of work logs, so you can read through and see all the different people who have built stuff and the questions they've asked and what they've learned and what has worked and what hasn't. And almost anything you could think of has been tried with the Wii. It's such a, in terms of like the building process, the process of building a Wii portable has really matured a lot, and it's all been documented. Like that forum started around the time that Wii portabilizing started being a thing. So basically all the info and documentation on it is there.
This will probably come after the interview. I was to say, could you send me a link to that place?
Yeah, absolutely. Here, let me say, I'll send this here.
Perfect. Because I've been wanting to sort of expand my horizons in terms of what I can do from a not only repair but a modding standpoint. Like recently I have just dipped my toe into that pool, but only by putting PlayStation 1 games on my PSP.
Okay.
Like it's a shallow pool, but it's a pool nonetheless.
Hey, I did that before I got into this. That's what I was doing about a year before I started down the road to make a portable.
So, you know how there's that strange hyperfixation of, it's the community that puts Doom on everything.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And like, there's even, if I recall from way back when I was on Tumblr, there's quite literally a blog called "It Runs Doom."
Yes. Oh, I'm very aware of it. I have a post on Twitter where I took my parents have a player piano from like 1891 or something like that. That in the 90s was retrofitted with a MIDI disc piano thing. So. Do you know what a player piano is?
Isn't that the one where you set the song and the keys sort of press themselves?
Yes. And it can be controlled by MIDI. So I got a USB to MIDI adapter, and I got a Doom MIDI, and I ran it on the piano, and, I posted it and said, yes, my parents' piano from 1891 plays Doom.
Did you have it play E1M1?
I had it play the main Doom song, like the first song that's, I don't know what it's called, but it's like for the first level.
Oh, gotcha. I've felt myself falling down the rabbit hole of adding not GameCube games, and I know certain, the running Doom and whatnot. But for me, it's running a very specific PlayStation game.
Okay.
I I want to make a increasingly more portable version of Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1.
Okay.
And I don't think it's feasible in the way I want it to without having some sort of full on controller layout, because Doom has a very simple control scheme.
Yes.
It's lateral view movement, forward and backward tank, and then shoot, and
Yes.
and that's it. But if I could somehow convince one of those 3-inch monitors to then create a Altoids can version of just running Spider-Man.
Well, you're not going to be... I don't think you'll be able to fit an actual PlayStation 1 inside of something that small. I've seen what... People are doing some really crazy stuff with the PlayStation 1 and trimming it down small, but the actual, hardware, all the chips and stuff like that, the actual silicon itself won't fit in that small of a bounding box.
Yeah.
So I think if you wanted to fit it in something that small, I think you're going to have to go with some sort of emulator.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't know if Altoids tin would be the one to jump straight into. It's kind of a weird, impractical. Cutting the material is just awful. It's dreadful. It's the worst because it's very hard, but it's also very malleable, so it deforms very easily. And if you flatten it out, then it will, because it has the letters are embossed on it. So if you flatten it out and crush the letters flat, then the face of it will bulge. It won't be flat. So I would strongly and highly recommend avoiding Altoids tin as a medium for a game console, speaking from experience.
What about using the G-Boy layout that you've presented on your channel?
Oh, sure. Yeah, like a 3D printing case like that, but just as a medium, like a crafting material, Altoids tin would not recommend specifically. Yeah, I'd look into 3D printing and designing something, but are you thinking real hardware or an emulation kind of thing?
Part of me wants to bring back the idea of the what was it called? It was I'm familiar with the updated version of it. It's a product called the Sentry, which was a monitor that's portable, and it's part of a clamshell briefcase that you put your Xbox in.
Oh, like the PS1 screen.
Yes, exactly that, but small enough that it can be held almost like a DS XL.
Okay, where it's like the controller on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see this. Let me see if I could find.
I guess the proper form factor would be like a Game Boy Advance SP, but slightly larger.
Yeah. You're thinking, like a clamshell kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, clamshells are pretty tough, but they're pretty tough to work with. But let me show you. Here's an N64 one of my friends made. Something like that is what you're thinking.
Holy cow! That's beautiful. What?
Oh yeah. The portabilizing scene. Even though my channel has made me the most well-known portabilizer, in terms of number of people who know who I am, I'm far from the best. There are so many people in this scene that just run circles around me and are so much better at making these things than I am.
Well, there's actually a channel that I want to say you know them, but want to be absolutely sure. It's at Ginger Mods.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He is absolutely one of my buds. Ginger's awesome. He makes great stuff. Great dude. Great channel. Love him.
Well, the reason I brought him up because that clamshell form factor, the making the render into a real thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd put a disk drive in there, to be completely honest.
Here's another one that another guy, Stoned Edge, in our scene made.
Oh, wow. And that's a Wii, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's about the size of a... those are Switch sticks, and that's about the size of a Game Boy SP, but thicker.
Where do you get the PCB for that? Or is it, like, PCBWay?
Yeah, I don't know which vendor, but he made custom circuit boards and stuff like that. Most of these really advanced ones tend to use custom circuit boards.
Wow. You know my descriptor of, like, just dipping my toe into the pool?
Yeah.
I had this feeling of, like, I'm standing there with my toe in the water, and I look up and, like, no, I'm actually at the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so crazy. And there's people that are just, like, even further beyond, like, what I'm doing. Like, it's... There's a time when I was one of the leading edge people, but it's... The scene has moved so fast, and there's so many talented people that it's just really cool to see what they're doing. Like, Red Herring with the portable Xbox. This has been all over the news.
Just hearing your keyboard just...
Yeah.
Like,
here you go. Here's one.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really incredible what the modders, the stuff that other modders can do. Their creativity and determination.
So I want to ask, I just want to be absolutely sure, are you okay with me putting these photos up in the video?
Oh, I have no opposition to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I want to share these with the world, man.
Oh yeah, these aren't my photos, but I think my buddies, the first one is the N64 SP by G-Man Mods. Second one is the Wii SP by Stoned Edge. The last one is the portable Xbox by, I don't remember if he has a specific name for it, but that portable Xbox was built by Red Herring 32. And he's worked on that for like 2 years, and so much development went into that. Like, he added Wi-Fi to the Xbox and all sorts of stuff.
And the best part is, like, at the end of the day, it looks official.
Yeah. And it's real hardware inside.
Man, I gotta get to work. I gotta catch up.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, there's all sorts of guides. The most popular ones are definitely the Wii. It's like reigns supreme. It's the most popular because it's just the most versatile, the most documented. There's lots of stuff, like every game has 480p. Every game can be made to do 480p, pretty much every game. So like the N60, like for the PlayStation 2, like it's weird about 480i. But loading games is easy. There's lots of reasons why it's like the dominant one that everyone makes, and it's the one I would recommend. It's the easiest and most documented and most capable. But the PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo 64 are also really popular ones because emulation for those two isn't quite there.
I do have a silly question, but it's more so that I just don't know where to look because, like I said, I'm new to this.
Yeah?
Where do you buy tiny screens?
We tend to buy them from we'll usually just buy them off like eBay or AliExpress. There's a good screen that we sell I'm one of the 3 guys that runs the 4-Layer Tech website, and we sell screens there. We sell other parts to make Wii portables and other portables as well, but we just search for whatever. There's various screens in different sizes and aspect ratios, and there's a few that are like well documented. I'm a big fan of this one screen that's it's 640 by 480 and 5-inch, but it's not IPS, but it still looks really good. But there's a like we sell a 800 by 480, so it's like a widescreen IPS panel on our store that accepts like VGA, which is the video signal that you'll want to get out of most of these consoles.
Gotcha. I just hopped over to the website, and it's that 3.5-inch one, yeah.
No, we sell we have two different screens. So there's the 3.5-inch screen. That one's really good. That one's an IPS screen. Like if you want something small, that's like the best like small screen for portables on the market right now. But if you want something bigger, the 5-inch widescreen, the 800 by 480 is kind of like the go-to right now.
And what connector is that at the bottom? Like I know I worry about sounding like pedestrian in my questions.
That's all right, man. We all start somewhere on this.
But what connection must I use to reach like your standard video output, like HDMI?
So in most portables, you're not going to use HDMI because the game consoles don't output HDMI. So like a Wii doesn't have an HDMI port. A PlayStation 2 doesn't. A N64 obviously doesn't. You're at the mercy of whatever the connections the game console has. So for most people, what they'll do is there's Aurelio wrote a little piece of software. He found some undocumented, unused mode in the video encoder to make it output VGA. So RGB with H-Sync and V-Sync. So you run those 5 wires into a driver board. So there's a board that goes in between. And it takes the standard video signal and converts it to a compatible thing for you to use.
Well, the reason I ask is I was in discussing this, I was reminded of a project that I wanted to make some years ago that I now suddenly and violently have the urge to do once more.
Okay.
I really enjoy miniatures.
Okay.
So, and especially when it comes to technology, like the compartmentalization and the shrinking of these consoles into a handheld format is absolutely fascinating. But then I had the thought of like, I want to make like not a full functioning I hesitate to use the phrase CRT, but I want to build a shell that looks like a tiny CRT TV and then put it in a miniature living room and then be able to actually have things playing on that tiny monitor.
Yeah, it depends on how... I would say it really depends on how small your miniatures, like what scale you're going for. This is a 3.5-inch screen, so this is like bigger than a Game Boy Advance screen.
Okay.
But there are other ones you can find that are smaller. Like the one on the Kill Me was a 2-inch screen. That's comparable to a Game Boy Micro screen. And you can find ones that are even smaller. Check eBay and AliExpress are kind of where I would source screens before we started sourcing them through 4-Layer Tech. But you search whatever screen size you're looking for, and then TFT, and then you'll get like lots of results. So like, let me see, like 2-inch. Oh my gosh, AliExpress is so annoying with the pop-ups everywhere.
I've never shopped through there before. I know there's like a bit of, the gag of like you're getting the sort of bottom of the barrel type of deal, at least when it gets to the fancier things. But is it reliable for like parts?
Yeah, that's absolutely where a lot of us buy parts from. It just yeah, like AliExpress is always like buy these clothes and this stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm literally just buying like go away. I went to buy tactile switches, please.
I'm here for this piece of wire. Leave me
yeah,
alone.
I am here for a obscure connector. Thank you. Yeah, because it'll ship you stuff from the. It'll ship. It's usually shipping stuff like either from the factory or from there. So that's where I would get it. eBay and AliExpress for screens.
What about Temu?
I haven't used it. They at one point they hit me with a billion like a billion messages like, hey, let us sponsor videos, let us this, and I'm just ignored them because sketchy. But yeah, like here's a let me send you this link here. This is a, for example, let me sanitize it. There you go. Like that's a little 2.5-inch composite screen example.
Oh wow, no kidding.
Yeah. So and you can find ones that are even smaller.
Well, like what? Like what connector? What? Because I'm staring at the.
Yeah, you just wire composite into those things. You would like solder it there, or here. Let me send you another image that kind of shows. Okay, let me.
I'm sorry in advance.
That's all good, man. There you go.
Oh wow, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so it's just running 2 pins to there. And obviously, it won't be the best quality video, but
I mean, I don't need it to be.
yeah,
I thought about like essentially making like a tiny recreation of like a quote end quote nerd room,
yeah,
and then having like the tiny monitor playing like I wanted it to not what's the word I'm looking for, not stream but be actually connected to my PC so I could use it as like the tiniest like third monitor.
yeah.
But have a whole diorama of a tiny room with a tiny chair and a desk.
Yeah, that'd be cute. Yeah, like a little nerd cave.
Yeah. More so than the one I'm staring at right now.
Yeah. Makes sense. But yeah, you could find all sorts of tiny screens.
How do we feel about buying computer parts? Because I'm getting advertised a 3060.
Oh, I wouldn't buy something like that on AliExpress personally. I wouldn't buy like anything sort of name brand. Mostly like if you need to source parts for stuff, it's a good place that's like not from a specific name brand or something that's more like just like electronics components for projects. I would, like I would be fine buying like replacement inductors for a 3060 on AliExpress, but not buying a 3060 itself.
I get you. Or like replacement screws or something.
Yeah, stuff like that. More like hardware than complete units.
Do you remember the Temu ads where it's like, we have all these Nintendo Switches for $10, and why is nobody buying them?
Yes, I do. I think I saw some of those on... I use AdBlock everywhere, but I think I saw some of those on Twitter. It was really sketchy.
I saw a review. Like, I wanted to see if they're not... Look, I know it was an actual Nintendo Switch, but, like, I wanted to know if it actually had any potential to be anything else. And not by much.
Well, they were actually giving people Nintendo Switches for $10, but the caveat was in order to do that, you had to recruit like like 50 people and have them all spend $50 on the site, and then you would be able to get us within 30 days or whatever, and then you would be able to buy a Switch for X dollars.
And then they tell two friends, and then they tell two friends, and so on and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it was very gamified, pyramid scheme-y.
Yep.
Not great.
If you tell 10 people about our Nintendo Switch deal, you'll become a ultra diamond tier.
Yeah.
That said, can you sell this protein paste to them as well? I don't. I mean, I get it for like money. I don't condone it, but like I understand money.
Yeah.
Also,
It's just not business practices I'm not a fan of.
yeah. I'm looking around. I had the thought of like I should buy an arcade cabinet, and it dawned on me of like I have no clue where to put it. I have an arcade cabinet that I've been trying to hunt down for about 20 years.
Oh, which one?
Are you familiar with Carnival?
I'm not.
So it's an on-rails light gun shooter, like Time
Oh,
Crisis.
I think I've actually seen this. Yeah. They have one in an arcade close by my house. Yeah, I have seen that one. Where it's like kind of zombie, not quite zombie, but like it's all carnival and clowns and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yes.
So I recently got to, and I'm very fortunate in this regard. I was hunting down that game physically for the last 20 years, and I found it. I actually got to go to an arcade, played, and beat it.
Okay.
But I feel like the final stage of that like revenge scenario would be to buy it and have it in my house.
Yeah.
And I cannot find the cabinet for the life of me.
Yeah, I would not know where you would find one of those. I am not gonna dive into the arcade cabinet thing.
Have
I
you worked on
acquire
arcade
lots
cabinets?
of CRTs. Yeah, I acquire lots of CRTs. That's enough big old obsolete stuff for me.
I, I've been wondering. You don't have to tell me the exact function. Where do you store all this stuff?
Well, I in my garage basically. I live in Texas, so it's a land is a bit more about it's not this the price per square foot is more reasonable.
I agree because I'm there too.
Oh yeah, it's pretty dense. Like I still have stuff packed pretty dense, but
Because I like even with the like all the majority of my I've got this bad habit of collecting computer towers,
okay.
and they're still back in my home state. Like they're they're at my mom's house,
Nice.
and I feel so bad because I know they're taking up a shitload of room.
Yeah. I found a really effective. I've been getting those wire rack, sometimes called Metro shelves. They're
Are they the thick like metal ones?
they're like thick metal wire rack where they're with the tube pole, the round poles.
Right, right.
They're really cheap and they're capable of holding hundreds of pounds per shelf. So
What are those called again?
they're called like Metro shelves
Metro shelves.
or wire rack shelves.
Metro shelving solutions. Oh, perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, they're inexpensive, and I found they're a great way to store lots of heavy stuff.
I've been I've been trying to look for some kind of storage solution because I feel the itch to begin collecting more things.
Oh yeah, I've collected quite a few things. I've got from CRTs and audio video gear. I definitely have reached the point where I'm like, okay, no more acquiring. Acquire less stuff. Like here's a list of stuff I want left. Try not to deviate from it.
Do you ever? So I've been trying to go down the avenue of looking into free stuff like abandoned items,
Okay.
but it seems every avenue I go down, I wonder. I'm pretty sure it's just the area that I live in. I can't find jack in terms of uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like e-waste recycling or like offer up, let go, next door,
Yeah,
Craigslist. You know?
it may just be there's people who just snatch stuff up now to flip it.
Yeah. I I think I might have to just stick to my tried and true method of going through Goodwill and find something that was loved but not loved too hard,
Yeah.
and then fix it up.
Yeah, hopefully.
I so I have been curious. I know we've been sort of veering back and forth between topics here, but something has been kind of on my mind is what pushed you to start making portables?
Well, I really liked playing. I remember I saw a GameCube portable that I thought was really cool. I remember when I loved playing games on the Game Boy. I like sitting away from a screen and just having something with me. The feeling of being untethered. And I liked the idea of sending uh, and once I first software modded a Wii, I saw how much games was there and how capable it was, and I'm like, I want this everywhere. So I went down that rabbit hole.
You, do you think the link cable will ever come back?
Like I don't think things will use link cables anymore. It'll just be wireless.
Yeah, but like I'm thinking. Sorry, that popped in my head and it kind of really stuck really hard. Like take a Steam Deck for
Yeah.
instance. With like LAN connections, instead of being Wi-Fi driven, say you're out of the house for whatever reason, what if they had like a link cable scenario where you could just, all right, let's attach two Steam Decks to each other and we could just go head to head.
Yeah, you could do that just run Ethernet. Probably like you could just use an Ethernet crossover cable.
Does the Steam Deck have a?
Well, it has USB-C, so just run USB-C to Ethernet.
Maybe. I don't. I don't have a Steam Deck. I'd like to, but I don't. I don't have the money for that.
Yeah, I got a Steam Deck. I really like it. It's a cool little device.
Are you planning to? I understand it's already portable, but do you plan to make it more portable?
No. For stuff like that where it's already portable, the engineers really put all that work into making it portable and optimizing it for that size and that form factor. There really isn't much else that can be added onto it in that way.
That sounds like a challenge.
Not really. There's nothing I could really see. The one thing I could see improving on the Steam Deck would be the display, but they already offer a better unit where it would be cheaper to buy their thing than it would be to find some different display and cram it in there.
Well, I mean, graphics fidelity be damned. Like, what? how would you feel if we shrunk down the Steam Deck to like a size of like a Leap Pad?
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love a miniature Steam Deck. The issue is one, the the motherboard's going to be so dense that I won't really be able to chop it up. The power consumption and battery, the way that circuit board was designed to fit inside of that form factor is really complicated. So making it smaller would be extraordinarily difficult. It wouldn't make much sense.
Well, how do we feel about like not using the Steam OS, like, but sort of what's the word I'm looking for? I'd hesitate to say Windows as well, but like a customized Linux install, so it just runs specific games.
That seems just worse. Like the same thing but worse, you know? Why limit yourself?
Because I like misery. That's why.
Yeah.
I want a machine that I can put in the front pocket of my shirt that only runs Counter-Strike 1.6.
So the way to do that is you wouldn't want to use a Steam Deck. I mean, there's devices like Aya Neo makes some really small devices. Like the Aya Neo Flip would fit in your front pocket. Let's see what other.
You said it's called the Ion Neo?
Aya, AYA, Neo.
AYA Neo.
And they have all sorts of smaller devices. There's companies other than Steam making these tiny handhelds.
That's adorable. Wait, no, come back. I just saw it was tiny. Looked like the size of a matchbook. How much are one of you? How do I buy you?
Yeah, they're expensive. They're not cheap.
Oh.
But there's options out there. Building something would be more expensive than buying an off-the-shelf one, that's for sure.
Now, what if I wanted to go the other way? Something unwieldy, something massive.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's way easier. The difficulty there would be fabricating the you know what I mean? Like, the difficulty there would be fabricating the actual large case, if that makes sense, and wiring it all up.
The thought I had that, so you know those modular LED panels that they snap on and then they become part of the whole image?
Yes.
So I want to get an array of those so large that it takes up an entire wall.
Okay.
I want to turn my room into a giant Game Boy.
Yeah, that's gonna be expensive.
Why do all my ideas cost money?
Yeah. I think if you wanted a large screen like that, I think projector would be the optimal way to do it.
Well, the thing is that LED array thing, I like the idea of the modularity of it, of being able to take a part off and then snap a new part on in case it breaks.
Sorry, repeat?
Like,
Would you...
I like the modularity of those LED panels. Like if something breaks, I can just take it off and snap a new one in.
Yeah.
I like the
but
ridiculous.
those panels are really expensive.
Oh no! Hold on, modular LED panel screens. Oh, that's fine. It's only like $10,000. It's why why you hurt my feelings, Shank?
Sorry, I'm here to keep you grounded.
Wait a minute, this guy has dreams. Better crush
Yeah.
that quick.
Yep. Sorry. Can't dreams can't let you have those.
I oh so okay. This is an aside to the LED screens. Did you happen to see? And this is in not regards to the event itself, but did you happen to see the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight last night?
I did not.
So, sports aside, the arena, like the boxing ring itself, and the walkway was fascinating because it's the entire walkway was a screen,
Okay.
and my first thought was like, how much does that cost? How do I get that into my house? What do I
Yeah,
have to
that's
do?
yeah. I have some friends that work pro AV. I think I know one or two guys that actually worked that event.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I I was like, I was fascinated because not only did they have the walkway, but the entire outside, not the floorboard to the ground, but the outside of the base of the ring was a screen, and so were the turnbuckles.
Okay.
And I wanna know how. I want one. I want to know how to do that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm sorry, man. I'm trying.
Yeah, just money is like the key thing, like stuff like that.
Eh. Now, out of the projects you've made so far, and out of the ones you have coming up, do you have a dream project in mind? Like something you haven't put forward yet, but it's been sitting in the back of your head?
Um, I don't know. I think it's I take the projects one at a time.
So,
Where I see a project and then I take it on, and I see another one and I take it on.
so where does like the genesis of the idea come from?
Well, it's just depends on the idea. They all have different origins. It's for me. It's a the YouTube channel is a means to monetize doing the things I'm interested in and I'm passionate in. And I have the attitude of, well, if I can obsess and nerd out about this, I'm sure at least a few other people would be interested in hearing me nerd out about it. So I find whatever's interesting to me and whatever's consuming me, and then I make videos on it and try to convey that passion in the video.
Well, that and like in the same way that you get, inspired to pick up a project or work on something, you putting your videos out could also lead to somebody like me wanting to further their skills in either modding or just, you know, manipulating electronics.
And I hope it does so. I hope, yeah, I've heard from people who have said that, and that's really, that's a, I would say, a really exciting secondary and unexpected thing, you know?
Yeah. Who who would you say in the realm of technology, who would you say would be your greatest inspiration?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, cause like, cause there's some like, for example, my friend Gunner, G-Man Mods. He was an inspiration when I first started, and he's now one of my best friends. He made, he was the biggest channel at the time when I started. He had just endless supply of portables and stuff like that. And there was the Shay. He was the guy that made the video that I first saw. And then there's other, YouTube videos I've seen where I've just taken inspiration from individual ones. I can't think of any specific ones. It's where I've been like, I want to do this. I want to be like this person or anything like that. It's more of a just gathering it's just a smorgasbord of different ideas and inspirations all coming together.
Like it say it sounds silly to say, but your videos have actually helped me kind of lean more into electronics repair.
Yeah.
Because like I did it just you're sort of typical like yeah, I'll clean the cat hair out of it and and I had one customer who spilt hemp oil
Nice.
somehow on the inside of a PS4 controller.
Excellent.
And I had to purchase an entirely new PCB for him.
Nice.
But it's like it's specifically, and I'm hyper focusing on it here. The Hot Wheels PC has like pushed my brain into like I can just fix something if it's busted.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That said, there are certain things out of my wheelhouse, like snapped in half PCBs.
Oh yeah. Once there, it's the question is when do you repair it and when do you replace it?
When do you call it quits?
The time and money that goes into it.
Well, like the greatest example I can think of, I think I still have it. I have a couple of like spare Nintendo Switch controllers, and one of them was given to me for repair by a mom of a kid who he had a tendency to like throw his controllers when he got upset.
Yeah.
And he had like tossed it in such a way that not the outside shell button of the like the shoulder button on a Switch controller, but the connection to the PCB, that button.
Yeah.
That part, not the weld, not the solder connecting it to the board. That entire portion of the board snapped off.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know how. Kid was 5 years old. I don't know how he had that kind of arm.
Yeah.
And if I remember, I just went to like a local, like game shop, like a quote unquote retro gaming shop, even though they had all the newest stuff. And I just bought a new controller on sale and just like, yep, fixed it later.
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's no chance I can't. That said, this is before I learned that you can order new like PCBs with those connections pre-installed.
Yeah.
That just means I have a free Switch controller.
Yeah. I assume you'll be able to repair that at some point.
Yeah. I've unfortunately got like I'm gonna say 5-6 controllers that just need some TLC and then they should be good to go. Maybe try to sell them if I don't try to keep them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm not at hoarder levels yet, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's hard to keep on that balance. Keep it in the healthy area of that balance.
Hey man, there was a way I got around. I have stopped doing it in the last couple of years, but when I got all of my PC towers, I would take all the parts out of them and then categorize the parts. It's like, motherboard, RAM, SATA cables, hard drives. But instead of leaving the hard drives out on a shelf or somewhere like unprotected, I would put them in the spare hard drive slots inside my tower without hooking them up,
Yeah.
just to keep them out of the way. But when it came time to rebuild my PC a year or two ago, I opened them like, yeah, I have like 7 hard drives in here, and I'm only using like 2.
Yep. That's how it goes.
Now, question for you: disk
Okay.
disk drive or solid state?
Solid state.
Okay. I used to be stubborn and think that like disk was going to be the end all be all, but I can't believe how fast the NVMe drive runs on my PC.
Oh yeah, SSDs are way better than HDDs. I just use HDDs for like my NAS. My NAS is HDDs, but everything else I have SSDs.
I'm very, very glad they've gotten significantly cheaper in the last few years.
For sure.
I remember when they first sort of hit shelves at like Best Buy, and it's like, what do you mean you want like $250 for 650 gigs? Like, oh my god.
Yep.
My cat's staring at me. What do you want? What is it? Do you have any pets?
Oh yes, I have a cat. She's a very good cat.
Oh yeah. If you're willing to share, what's your cat's name?
Her name is Dawn.
Dawn. I've got 2 boys. I got 2 boy cats, and they're both very large, both in build, and they're also very fat.
Yeah. My cat, I used to be able to free feed until once she got fixed, she started being, how do I put it? She started getting, going towards the direction of a sphere. So now I feed her a regulated amount at the same time every day.
I feed both of my boys twice per day, and they're just... I don't know what part of their genetics really kicked it off, because one of them's named Moon, or Mooney, and he used to be a really small kitten, and then like me and my partner went on a trip for like, I want to say a week, and we came back and he was double the size.
Oh no.
And like, I was joking with my brother who was house sitting for us at the time. I'm like, did you replace him with another cat? But no, he's just a big dude, and I can't, like, last we checked, he's about 12 to 13 pounds.
Jeez.
And
yeah, I think my cat's somewhere in the 8 to 10 pound range. She's small.
Oh, excuse me, my producer has given me an update. Mooney is actually 15.2 pounds, and Bean, my white cat, is 12 pounds.
Jeez, those are both big cats, though.
Well, they have the frame to fit it. Like, they're not rotund, or at least one of them isn't.
Yeah, they're not spheres, but they're big.
Yeah. Dense, like a brick. I should have... You know what, Mooney? I should have named you Brick.
Yeah.
That'll
Brick
be
and
the
Bean.
next cat. But by the way, I just want to make a quick side note. Thank you very much for like just answering my silly questions, like outside of the interview questions.
Oh, of course. Of course, I don't mind. I don't mind answering. That's all part of it.
I just, well, like, it hit me all like I could solve some curiosities I've had. But I wanted to ask, how are we feeling? We are closing in on about hour 15.
Yeah, I would say pretty soon. I don't know how I'd like to get get going relatively soon.
Sure.
Like, I don't need to leave, like, immediately, but I'd be down to start wrapping it up.
Let's see. Are you sitting there looking at your watch like, God, this guy won't shut up?
No, I'm good. Only thing is, I'm just getting kind of hungry because I haven't had anything to eat yet today. So
you know what? Same here, and I think I actually have food on the way. Me and my partner share a what's it called, an Uber Eats account.
Got it.
And I look down. It's like, hey, they're preparing your food. I'm like, oh, I guess we're
guess we're eating. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna argue, but
yeah, can't complain.
Yeah. But so you know what? Right here, I think we will wrap it up.
Sounds good to me.
Because we have been running long.
But yeah. We're my recording says 1:16.
Oh,
that's where we're at. 1:17.
So I do have one last question to close us out before we get out of here.
Yeah, man, hit me with it.
If asked, would you be open to coming back on as a return guest?
Yeah, I'd be down at some point.
Fantastic. Dude, it's been an absolute joy having you on.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks for having me on the show.
And I wanted to see, is there a video on your channel that you're particularly proud of that you would like in the description of this video?
I would say you pick your favorite.
That's unfair.
I'd say you pick your favorite. Of my videos, I think, well, okay, here's what I would say. I'll say the one that says the most kind of about my origin story, if they're interested in me specifically. That would be the Wii Vision one. It's the white Wii portable. If you're interested in hearing about the one that's the most accessible and most interesting for most people, that would be the Hot Wheels PC. That's the one I recommend for the first people. And if you're interested in learning about portables and how portabilizing works and how just kind of the fundamentals of how do you take a console, chop it up, and build it into a portable, I would say the Virtual Boy one is the one to check out.
Okay. I get you. Well, you know what? Links to those will be in the description below. And did you want me to include a 4-layer link as well?
Sure, if you'd like to.
Absolutely.
I'd say it's up to you. You can include whatever links you like.
Yeah. No, I like giving room for advertisement.
Oh yeah, you know your audience, so throw whatever you think they'd like.
Absolutely. And thank you, party people, for sticking around as long as you have. And Shank, this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. And everybody at home, please go check out Shank's channel. Like, it's a blast, and I can speak from experience. But with that, this has been Demasked. My name is Fresman, and I'll see all of you next time.